Musician Biopics with Chris Dallin on this episode of the Movies Past and Present podcast. Hello and welcome to the Movies Past and Present podcast. It's November 29th, 2025, and this is episode 140. I'm your host, Stanford Clark, and I'm podcasting from the crossroads of the West in beautiful Salt Lake City, Utah. Just like my website, moviespastandpresent.com, I'll be providing recommendations, commentary, and reviews about current and classic cinema. Thanks for tuning in, and let's do this thing. My good friend Chris Dallin joins me on this episode of the Movies Past and Present podcast to discuss biographical films, or biopics for short, of famous rock and country musicians. Chris and I most recently saw the excellent biopic of Bruce Springsteen that was in theaters last month called Springsteen Deliver Me From Nowhere, which I thought was excellent, by the way, and would highly recommend it. Then Chris had the idea to discuss some of our other favorite musician biopics over the last several years. So Chris and I both review Springsteen Deliver Me From Nowhere and talk about some other biopics. Here's my conversation with my buddy Chris Dallin. I'm joined by my good friend Chris Dallin. Hi, Chris. How's it going?
Great to be with you this morning, Stan.
So great to have you here, Chris. I got to give you full props. This was your idea. We were talking about, some podcast subjects, and you had the great idea about talking about, in a way, it's kind of a trend, isn't it? Biopics about musicians, rock musicians in particular.
Right, exactly. And we were talking about this just briefly when we were able to watch the new Springsteen movie together.
Yes, that was so great. I got to see that with you, and what a cool movie. And why don't we dive in to that one first? It's just recently opened. It's called Springsteen Deliver Me From Nowhere. Of course, it's about Bruce Springsteen, directed by Scott Cooper. It stars Jeremy Allen White, who plays Bruce Springsteen, and then who I think really is in the film, the MVP, is Jeremy Strong, who plays Springsteen's manager, John Landau. And Chris, what did you think of this movie?
I like the movie. Of course, I like Springsteen as well. But, what's interesting about it is it jumps back and forth with his childhood and really focuses on a certain part of his career where he was really struggling. I didn't know the story, and so it was fun to get that part of Springsteen.
Yeah, just as you said, Chris, it focuses on this time. It's in the early 80s, if I'm not mistaken, where Springsteen is recording his Nebraska album, and he was really going through it. He's going through some mental and emotional challenges. And so rather than this picture really being a comprehensive view of his life, it's just of a very defined, relatively kind of short period of time, and which I thought was an interesting approach. Did you for the film, because often these films kind of go from childhood to current day. Even though this was flashing back on his childhood, I really thought this film was terrific. Acting was great. The music was great, and Jeremy Allen White was singing. Chris, wasn't he? I think
that's my understanding. Is it's his voice. He did a great job with it. There were a few scenes and a few angles that the cinematography caught, and I'm like, holy cow, that looks like Springsteen, and it sounds just like him. They did a good job.
Yeah, I agree. They really take you back to that period of time, and it's I thought it was just a very emotionally satisfying film. Not that I want to give away the ending, but that ending I thought really packed a punch, and in all the best ways. I like this film. What do you think his chances are with the Oscars, Chris?
Oh boy, with some of the films that we'll talk about in a few minutes, there's a few that have won Oscars, and then there's a few that didn't. That frankly, I was surprised it didn't. And
yeah.
Because it was so well shot, so well acted, I think there's a chance, Dan.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens if Oscar voters are into it. But I really dug Springsteen Delivery from Nowhere. Go see it, everybody, if you get a chance to. Still playing in theaters. Hopefully, by the time you listen to this.
I I agree, and I think as we were talking as we were preparing for this podcast, and one of the things that I wanted to mention is the films that we'll talk about today and the artist therein has had such an impact on American culture, and
Yeah,
wherever you can bring music and movies and American culture together, I think it's fantastic. And Springsteen has certainly had a big impact. Make no mistake, there's references in the film to my favorite album, of course, Born in the USA.
yeah,
There's other things, and so just don't want that to be a surprise because it's worthy of going and seeing it if you're a Springsteen fan. Also, he has had such a big impact on, and he's such a prolific writer and has written great songs for a lot of people throughout his career and a lot of bands. I think that you'll be surprised, delightfully so, by watching the movie.
yeah. Uh, great assessment, bud. I agree with you wholeheartedly. Last year we also had, I think, what I thought was a really excellent movie too. Speaking, going down our list now, we're going to be talking about a few movies, and we're going kind of backwards in time from when these films were released. But so in 2024, there was a Bob Dylan biopic called The Complete Unknown, and directed by James Mangold. Timothy Chalamet played Bob Dylan. Uh, Chris, what was your experience with this film?
You know what? I love this film. This is one where I was surprised that the actor did not get an Oscar.
Yeah,
I
ditto. He was deserving. Holy smokes!
so deserving and sang everything and showed up. I mean, there were things in there where I really thought that it was Dylan for a few minutes. Just the way that he handled himself and the acting and the cinematography and everything was fantastic. I love this film. Really did a nice job with Dylan, and kind of explained um, what shall I call it about Dylan? Some of his quirkiness, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. What an iconoclast he is,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, and it's really interesting. I saw Dylan in concert not too long ago, actually at the Hollywood Bowl, and it was a concert of a lifetime. Stan, John Cougar Mellencamp, Bob Dylan, Willie Nelson, all together singing.
Wow, that's right.
And
I remember you telling me about this. That's so
yeah,
cool. You got to do that.
and the concert was so unsatisfying with Dylan because he doesn't like to replay his hits. He likes to play new stuff, things that you haven't heard before. So there wasn't, some of those favorite songs that from Dylan. He didn't play, and the film describes why, and that was a deeper meaning to me, and I appreciated him a little bit more.
Yeah, this complete unknown also kind of follows or just does a similar narrative the way that Springsteen Delivering from Nowhere does, in that it's focused on a very limited period of time. Uh, but wow, I think you really can see it really informs the way I think we see Bob Dylan today, right? Or how he's like, oh yeah, I think he's been that way for his life. It's not, you're right. What is it, Chris? He got the Nobel Prize and didn't
Yeah,
bother to show up.
yeah, he got the Nobel Prize for Literature. And what's amazing about that is I did a little bit of research as we kind of prepared for this, and I think it's really interesting. He he said a couple things in his acceptance speech. He was actually there. He didn't show up to the public event. He showed up privately.
Oh, okay, okay.
And so this is what he said. He said, "Our songs are alive in the land of the living, but songs are unlike literature. They're meant to be sung, not read. The words in Shakespeare's plays were meant to be acted on the stage, just as lyrics and songs are meant to be sung, not read on a page." And I hope some of you get the chance to listen to these lyrics the way that they were intended to be heard in concert or on a record or however people are listening to songs these days. I return once again to Homer, who was one of his favorite authors. I return again once to Homer, who says, "Sing in me, O muse, and through me tell the story." And I think that that wraps up kind of Dylan in a succinct way and kind of captures the essence of the movie, about how Dylan came to be. And let's face it, Stan, at the time, Bob Dylan became the voice of a generation,
Yeah, yeah.
and caught kind of that transitionary time in American culture. That's why I think he has such lasting power. Is his writing and the literature that he wrote, and I think that the actors and those who portrayed that story did a fantastic job.
Yeah, I would agree. In fact, Chris, I'm thinking back. I think that I saw this with you and your family too. I think we went to this movie together last year. It's a great info, Chris, and what a great movie. That's another one that I guess all these films that we're talking about, I think I recommend, but this definitely is a great one if you haven't seen it.
And
Or
I agree, Stan. I left that movie having a new appreciation for folk music, and
yes,
and and it's really this dive into folk music. And really, I would say maybe Dylan's mentor, played by Ed Norton in the film, Pete Seeger. For those of you who don't know who Pete Seeger, I didn't know before the movie, frankly. I remember in elementary school, we would sing, "This land is your land,
yep,
and is my land," and uh, that just really captured uh, Pete Seeger and how he influenced Dylan so much. And so, again, not only is it a Dylan film, but it's a film about um, a, an American art form. And by the way, spoiler alert, great folks show up in that. Actors portraying Johnny Cash and others. It's a great film to see.
yeah. I'm glad you bring up the folk music aspect because I want to mention Monica Barbaro. I hope I'm saying her last name correctly. Who plays Joan Baez? Who I
Right.
feel like she's just like channeling Joan Baez. It's just again like Timothy Chalamet did. Just great performances and really, yeah, really broadened my horizons about that music and about that time period too.
Absolutely. I agree.
Yeah, yeah, great, really great film. Okay, well, so in 2022, we had a really splashy movie about Elvis Presley, and lots is called Elvis, directed by Baz Luhrmann, and of course, lots is known about Elvis. It's such an incredibly public and popular figure. But what did you think about this Elvis Presley movie, Chris? Did you learn new stuff about him? What was your take on it?
I did learn a few new things about him. My first comment, though, is Baz Luhrmann, the director. Holy cow! The sound editing, uh, the visual editing on this was just, it was very Baz Luhrmann,
Yeah, yeah,
and so well done. The thing that I love is I'm a big fan of the origins of music. And if you're a music fan, there are three or four different recording studios in the world that has had such a dramatic impact on music. One of them, Sun Records, in Memphis,
in
Tennessee.
Memphis. Yep.
Um, they did such a nice job. I've been to Sun Records and I've been in that studio where they recorded, where Elvis recorded for the first time
Oh
before
wow, cool.
Warner Brothers.
Is it a museum, Chris? I mean, like, how does that? What are they? How's that set up?
Yeah, it is a museum, but they've left everything exactly the same. Just on the street, it's the same thing as it was when Elvis and Johnny and others stepped up to the microphone there. And they have some musical instruments that are still in the studio that were used.
Wow.
It is a wonderful place to go. And in the film, they captured it amazingly. And it just so happened that my daughter and I went down to Graceland. How can you not go to
You
Graceland?
got to go to Graceland.
Um, and across the street from Graceland is a museum of Elvis cars and his wardrobe
Yes.
and things. And there was an empty space there where they recreated the Sun Record Studios. And Stan, it's perfect. It's a perfect recreation. So it's a great historical kind of view into Elvis as well, Baz Luhrmann style notwithstanding.
Yeah, Baz Luhrmann's got such a distinctive style, doesn't he? And just again, just as you said so perfectly, I've never been to Sun Records, but I have been to Graceland, and Graceland was fascinating. Absolutely a fascinating visit. Although that I don't believe that Sun Records replica was there. I saw a bunch of the cars, of course, but still, I digress, Chris. This movie, Austin Butler plays Elvis. What did you think of Austin's performance as Elvis Presley?
I think that he did a really nice job. He sang some of the items too. I read too that they kind of piped in a little bit of Elvis's along the way, so mixed it together. So it was authentic in every way, and they did a nice job with that. I think it captured this tortured soul of Elvis and how he was a product of this manager, played by Tom Hanks. And just really an interesting view into some of the tortured souls of the music industry and how Elvis was part of that.
Chris, I'm glad you brought up Tom Hanks because he plays Colonel Tom Parker, who is Elvis's controversial manager, right? Maybe controversial isn't the right word, but I don't know. He was a questionable character as far as I am concerned. And I think that Tom Hanks is in a way kind of vilified. Uh, I guess I didn't. I thought Tom Hanks did a fine job. But what did you think about Tom Hanks in that role? And then also let's also just talk a little bit about Colonel Tom Parker as a person too.
Yeah, yeah. So it's interesting because it gives it away at the first of the movie about how, in Tom Parker's words, as portrayed by Tom Hanks, how he was vilified in this whole thing, and it was quite interesting. The way that they laid it out is Tom Parker is going to be the snowman, and Elvis is going to be the showman, and they came together as these partnership, and I don't think that either one of them could have existed without each other.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it was a pairing that was great, just didn't end well.
You know, I think Tom Hanks was criticized a lot for the accent he chose to use. How did you feel about that during the film? Did it bug you, or what did you? What did you think?
No, it didn't bug me. I thought it was kind of captured an interesting soul and really great acting,
Yeah,
certainly by Tom Hanks, because you ended up both respecting and loathing this character.
I know. Isn't that the truth? Yeah, it's just like you think, wow, how smart, but wow, kind of what a dirtbag.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know what? One of the things that I want to mention, if you're a music fan at all, I think as we get down the list a little bit here more, but talking of the Sun Records, we can't let this idea of Sam Phillips go. Sam Phillips was the guy that owned Sun Records. His mantra was, "I'll record anything, anywhere, anytime." And people would come into his studio there, and they'd record little songs like "Happy Birthday, Mom" and other things. And people have these 45s throughout the country that Sam Phillips recorded. And what's interesting is this kid came in one day, sang this song, and Sam Phillips' wife said, "Hey, you probably ought to get this kid to come back." And it happened to be Elvis Presley, and um, certainly one of the greatest things. And I'll hold the comment about the Million Dollar Quartet until a little bit later in the podcast.
Okay, because I really want to talk to you about Million Dollar Quartet. Okay.
So Sam Phillips, a big part of Elvis Presley's work, and kind of got him started on the road. And then after he was discovered by Colonel Tom Parker, the story picks up. But we can't leave out the important part that Sam Phillips played in Elvis Presley's great work.
You know, well said, Chris. I think I thought this Elvis movie was maybe imperfect or a bit flawed, but still nonetheless a fascinating portrayal of this very well known and famous person. And I think that's tricky too. Like we were talking about, there was like Elvis Presley is such an indelible part of American culture. I think it would be hard to make a film that everybody kind of knows lots about. You know.
Yeah. I mean, you can't cheat the audience on these things because
yes,
loves these characters, and not characters, but real people. So it's not like the actors can take a lot of license. Otherwise, I think that the audience members would push back pretty hard.
So now, Chris, let's go to 2019 when the Elton John biopic Rocket Man was released. This is directed by Dexter Fletcher. It starred Taron Egerton. I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly as Elton John. And Rocket Man also is like a comprehensive view or a big view of Elton John's life. You know, we learned about his childhood and kind of his early career, etc. What was your opinion on Rocket Man?
You know, I'm a big fan of Elton John anyway, and he has had a big impact. Just movies and music and popular culture, among other things. I think they did a nice job. Again, a tortured story on how Elton John became Elton John. If I'm not mistaken, didn't do my research on this, so I'm relying upon my memory. Is his name Kenneth Dwight? His real name? Is that right?
Oh, let's look. Yeah, it's. I think it's Reggie, isn't it, Reginald?
Reggie Dwight, maybe.
Yeah.
Something like that. But it's really the story, and again, his childhood just difficult and working through challenges and problems, and it's the story of how Elton John became Elton John and just really a great story. I liked it a lot. I thought that the acting was fantastic, and that is too. And I give props to Taron for his portrayal of Elton John. Again, he can't cheat it. He showed up well. Elton John was pleased with it as well, which is saying a lot.
Yeah, I think it definitely had Elton John's blessing. It's Reginald Kenneth Dwight. And again, I don't know. It seems to me that he's got a song, and I'm so sorry, get skewered by any listeners. I know that I think he had an album called Reg Strikes Back or something. Anyway, referring to his original name. He adopted the stage name Elton John in 1968. So had that for a long time. I thought Rocket Man was really a good film.
I thought it was too.
Yeah, a compelling drama about just Elton John's challenges and struggles with being gay and his addictions and all the stuff and as well as just having such tremendous talent. I really shout out to Jamie Bell for playing in the role of Bernie Taupin. I thought he was excellent too, because really you can't have Elton John without Bernie Taupin, right?
You can't. Bernie wrote the songs and Elton put music to them.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought Rocket Man was really a solid biopic, just really well done, and I think you learn a lot and understand more about where Elton John came from. So that leads us into 2018, and again, this is so interesting. It kind of seems like, Chris, in a lot of ways, we've had like one a year, right? One like really big biopic, right? It was Bohemian Rhapsody about Freddie Mercury, directed by Bryan Singer. Rami Malek played Freddie Mercury, and also he deservedly won an Oscar for Best Actor for his portrayal of Freddie Mercury. What's your opinion on Bohemian Rhapsody, Chris?
He did such a nice job. Again, if you're a Queen fan, this is a must see, of course. I didn't know some of the small items on how Freddie Mercury became Queen within the realm of the music world. Like, for example, you'll see Freddie singing with the part of a microphone stand, for example. The microphone stand breaks on stage one time. He holds it, and then for the rest of his career, he uses
That's what he did.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it kind of gives those little intricacies and stories on how he showed up and how they made really, really unique music. Now, here's the one thing that surprised me in the movie. And again, if you haven't seen it, spoiler alert. I'm a big fan of Michael Myers. I hadn't seen Michael Myers in years and years, and I'm watching the movie, and there's this radio exec, or pardon me, this music
Yeah, music executive. Yeah.
that is singing, and they were in the middle of this meeting, and this music executive is there. They're proposing the song Bohemian Rhapsody, and the makeup's so good. This this music executive says, "What is with this song? It's not like people are going to be driving down the road banging their head to this song." And of course, a great homage to Wayne. But all of a sudden, it occurred to me that's Michael Myers. Holy cow!
Making a Wayne's World joke.
And that was a big surprise. That was fantastic.
I love that, Chris. That's so right. Thanks for reminding me of that. That was brilliant. And it's cool to see Mike Myers. I thought it was cool to see him in that kind of a role. You know, very kind of different type of role than he typically will play. I don't know if this is necessarily a criticism. I know that the filmmakers took some liberty with the timeline of Freddie Mercury's life, particularly when he had AIDS and that sort of stuff. And I think, and again, some of it I think they felt like they had to do it to make the movie more. I guess I don't know if the lack of like a word more interesting or a way to move the plot forward. Because I don't think that the band knew. I think in real life, I don't think the band knew that Freddie had AIDS when they were performing the Live Aid show.
Right.
But anyway, details. But that Live Aid, that recreation of the Live Aid concert that Queen, performed at, that still, I get goosebumps just even thinking about how amazing that was to see on the big screen. And it was electric.
Yes.
And because that performance was electric. Again, I of course I only saw it on TV. The live, but the way that they filmed it, it really felt like you were there. And still, I think one of the all-time great performances ever by a band. Queen's performance at that 1985 Live Aid concert.
I agree. Fantastic movie. Again, if you're a Queen fan, it's a must see. And there are a few cameos in the movie too, with band members, and then of course Adam Lambert, who is the lead singer of Queen right now.
That's right. Well, and I believe that the film overall had Queen's, the living remaining members of Queen there. It had their blessing, I think. Yeah. Again, I'm not sure if they agreed with all of the kind of like the timeline changes and the stuff that were added for more dramatic effect. But anyway, I don't think that there was like opposition to it, right? We were speaking of that, just to throw in a little side note, Chris. As we were planning this, we were wondering about if there was a Prince biopic,
right?
And there isn't. There is a Prince documentary that's been made, but the trust or the estate of Prince, they're not having it. They don't like it, and they don't want it. So they've had all sorts of battles in court. about it. So still no biopic, and again, some of these living folks that are still remaining, I guess if they don't want it to happen, I guess they can stop it, right?
Right.
Yeah, stopping the courts. This is a bummer. Nothing about Prince to discuss. Okay, well now we have a bit of a jump in time, Chris. We're going back now to 2005, and I'm so glad you brought this one up. This is Walk the Line, which is of course about Johnny Cash, directed by James Mangold. So James Mangold, also directed that great Bob Dylan movie from 2024. I think he's just a fine director. Joaquin Phoenix plays Johnny Cash. Reese Witherspoon plays June Carter, and Reese won that year the Best Actress Oscar for this role. This is such a great film, Chris. What's your experience with Walk the Line?
I love Walk the Line, and full disclosure, I'm a gigantic Johnny Cash fan.
Yes, exactly. I'm so glad we get to talk about it, Chris.
I mean, um, if you think about his history, all the way from the beginning with Folsom Prison Blues, I Walk the Line, Ring of Fire, and then he ends up still really popular at the end of his life, covering a Nine Inch Nails song that became Johnny Cash's song.
Yeah.
In every aspect other than the lyrics. Um, what a great career, but what a tortured soul as well.
Yeah, I'm really fascinated with Johnny Cash's history. I mean, I just always just remember being mesmerized every time I'd see or hear him. And I don't know if I think his singing probably when to me as a young child when when I first remember I don't he's the singer that I feel like has the most emotion in his performances. There's just something really special about him. What really resonates with you about Johnny Cash, Chris?
Well, I think my dad and I connected. Um, uh, you know, uh, he my dad was the kind of guy that had the bumper sticker that said there's only two kinds of music, country and western. Uh,
I love it.
Johnny Cash was kind of that transitionary figure between country and rock and roll. Really, and just did an amazing job. Simple beats, but great lyrics, I think, and kind of an edgy guy as well. I mean, he's one of the first and only to go into a prison to sing
Yeah,
a live concert, and it was incredibly popular. Stan.
yeah. Exactly. It was huge, wasn't it? That album that was made that was just a gigantic hit,
It's
and
just
it's just a fantastic album too.
it was, and his life, Johnny's life again. He had an older brother when he was growing up. The film does a really nice job telling the story. His father loved his older brother. His older brother was going to be a preacher, and he ends up dying in an accident at home. And Johnny is tortured by that
Yeah,
his whole life. And actually, his father blamed Johnny for it, and so that motivated him and probably led to some of his drug use and alcohol abuse and stuff like that throughout his life. But what's inter, what's interesting in how Johnny got involved in music, again, enter Sam Phillips and Sun
yes,
Records. So Johnny had a little band. He called it Johnny Cash and the Tennessee Two, and he was focused on gospel music. At the time, gospel music was a big deal. Went in to Sun Records to try out, and again, the film does a nice job describing this. And they're in Sun Records, and I've been in there. I saw the guitar that they used in Johnny's first recording,
oh wow,
and so again, if you're a music fan, you need to go and see it.
yeah.
So Sam Phillips listens to this first gospel song, and he said, "Hey kids, that's a nice song and all, but everyone's doing gospel. Go out and sin a little bit, and come back and see me." And 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 so Johnny says, "Well, hang on a second. I wrote this song when I was in the military, uh, starts out with "I hear the train a coming, it's coming round the bend," and the Tennessee Two is with him, didn't know it, told him to play the bass and the guitar, and Sam Phillips loved it. That was the beginning of Johnny Cash, is in Sam Phillips recording studio at Sun Records, and it's a great story about Johnny, how he goes through, gets divorced, meets June Carter, becomes June Carter Cash, and if you're a music fan, um, it's really fantastic. Now, Stan, what I wanted to mention is my daughter will tell you that she's been raised on Cash as well.
Yes.
And there's a couple band members left from Johnny Cash's band that used to play with him on the road. They're touring. And so they came to the Eccles Theater here in Salt Lake City, and I took my daughter. We went to see him, and I thought they were just going to be a cover band with some original things, but many people don't know that Johnny Cash had his own TV show. It was a variety show. Um, and what they did is they took Johnny's singing, put it up on the screen. So here's a live band, and Johnny
Oh, wow.
sings. Oh, it was magical.
Oh, that was
Yeah,
so cool,
yeah,
Chris.
it's great.
What did they go? What were they touring as? I mean, what? How did they bill that show, Chris?
I think it was like the Johnny Cash tribute,
Okay.
or something like that, and just really, really loved it and connected again with my daughter who loves Johnny Cash as well. And
That was amazing.
uh, it is really great.
Now, Chris, is this the time to bring up the $1 Million Quartet too?
Yeah,
Please share about you
yeah.
know.
So, so I'm going to tell you a couple of stories here, and for the listeners, thanks for bearing with us. But again, if you're a music fan, you have to go to Sun Records, and there's a couple of stories that are legendary. One very public, and one very private. Um, but the first one is, now there's four major folks that were involved in Sam Phillips and Sun Records at the time. There's Elvis Presley, Johnny Cash. There is Jerry Lee Lewis and Carl Perkins. Jerry Lee Lewis, for those of you that are listening, Great Balls of Fire, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
Carl Perkins, the originator of blue suede shoes. So the four of them show up at the studio, and they start to play the piano, tell jokes, tell stories, and stuff like that. And Sam Phillips, no dummy, goes over and pushes record on the studio and records all of this. So there's hours of Johnny and Elvis and Carl Perkins and Jerry Lee Lewis um, playing things. Johnny is singing Elvis songs, Elvis is singing Johnny songs, and so on. Um, and it's become so popular. On the wall at Sun Records, they have this picture of them doing this, and it's become so popular now. You can download the entire recording and listen to it, but also it's become a Broadway play. The
yes,
quartet as well.
yes. Which is, have you seen this? Have you seen the play, Chris?
No, my understanding is this January 2026, Tuacahn Theater is playing it down in St. George.
Yeah. See, that's where I've seen it before, and it was performed at Tuacahn, and this was a couple years ago. It's really good, and they had just a terrific cast. I would assume that it's just going to be as good. I hope highly recommended. Of course, if you go, let me know because I'll be anxious to hear your thoughts on it. It is such a cool show.
I'm
Uh,
really excited to see it, Stan.
yeah, yeah, because again, they have to hire actors that are musicians too. So it's really it's great. And the one thing too, Chris, about um, Walk the Line. What did you think of Joaquin Phoenix's portrayal of Johnny Cash? Since you've got so much affinity, you're so knowledgeable about Johnny Cash too
Um,
as a person.
he did a great job. Again, he did a lot of the singing as well, and he nails it. Does a great job. Of course, no one can capture Johnny Cash exactly, but
Yeah.
there were a few moments where I'm like, "Holy cow, he looks just like him." and sang a great song. But yeah, big Johnny Cash fan. Love the movie. Reese Witherspoon does a great job, and again, the duo between Johnny Cash and June Carter Cash is fantastic.
See, I remember that as a kid too, on seeing TV, and maybe Chris, I'm not sure what exactly show or shows I saw, but I remember seeing Johnny Cash as well as both Johnny and June Carter Cash. They would do duets, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and really the royal family of country music, the Carter family. Highly recommend Ken Burns' uh, documentary movie on country music and how much the Carter family and Johnny Cash played into that. I know that George Strait fans will probably shoot bullets at me, but I believe that the real king of country music is Johnny Cash.
Okay. Spoken from a pro. So, Chris, I respect that. Outstanding.
Well, and before we leave Walk the Line, just one more story
Yeah.
about Sun Records. So I was there. My daughter and I, we went in early 2022. We were there. Jerry Lee Lewis was still alive when we were there. Now he didn't show up or anything, but our tour guide at Sun Records gave us this tour, and he was telling stories, and he says once in a while Jerry Lee Lewis will show up at the studio, and the only way to access for the public anyway into the studio is through the museum entrance, and then they take you into the studio from there. Jerry Lee Lewis though had a key.
He's got a key to the back door.
And so once in a while they'd show up, and so they had this disclaimer: hey, if Jerry Lee Lewis shows up, we're canceling the tour, right? So I was thinking, holy cow, it'd be great if Jerry Lee Lewis shows up. Anyway,
Absolutely.
yeah, he shared this story um, when one day he did show up, and he knocked on the door and opened the door. They went back to see who it was. It was Jerry Lee Lewis, and there was this guy behind him with his hat pulled down over his eyes, and they just thought, well, maybe he's a nurse or something, because Jerry Lee Lewis was having a rough time getting around at the time. And the individual looked up, and Stan, it was Mick Jagger from the Rolling Stones.
Wow.
And Jagger wanted to spend some time with Jerry Lee Lewis, understanding the history of Sun Records. They went in and they said for the next 4 hours, Jerry Lee Lewis told Mick Jagger the story of Sun Records and how the Million Dollar Quartet happened and all the magic that happened at that recording studio. So, really, again, if you're a music lover and if you like rock and roll music at all, that's really one of the best places to go because it's sacred ground for the music lover.
Thanks for sharing that, Chris. Clearly, that's on my list to go. And I'm sorry I missed that when I was in Memphis, too. I had such limited time there, as I recall. I picked Graceland, but uh, so cool. And just really great. And then again, Walk the Line is a great film. I want to rewatch it again after our conversation here. uh, Good stuff. So, Chris, then in 2004, uh, the movie Ray came out. This is about Ray Charles, directed by Taylor Hackford, and Ray Charles was portrayed by Jamie Foxx, who also won a Best Actor Oscar for that role. What did you think of Ray, Chris? Yeah, what are your thoughts of that? And any history with Ray Charles?
Yeah, so I love this movie. There were moments that I couldn't tell the difference between Jamie Foxx and Ray Charles.
Yeah. Jamie Foxx really nailed it.
Really nailed it, and he was such a prolific artist and so good at what he did. You know, Ray Charles did all kinds of duets with people. People have covered his songs, and like for example, Willie Nelson covered "Georgia on My Mind." Uh, Billy Joel and Ray Charles did duets together. One of which was "My Baby Grand."
Yeah, that's a great song, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think everyone needs to watch this film. Ray Charles was a prolific artist that was fantastic in his own right, but I don't think he gets the credit that he deserves based upon how great he was, and the film did that justice.
Yeah, I thought the film was really a fascinating look into his life, kind of his life and his loves and all and everything in between. Really, just an excellent biopic and just an excellent film. And again, Jamie Foxx really deserved that Oscar. You know, his performance was remarkable.
It was.
Uh, the Chris, before we get into this final film we're going to talk about, one thing I neglected to mention is which one of these artists that we have talked about. I know you mentioned Bob Dylan, but you've seen perform live? Like, I've never seen Springsteen perform live. Have you seen Springsteen?
I have not seen Springsteen live. It's on my list, but he doesn't come to Salt Lake City, so it's a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. You have to travel. I did see Elton John. Elton John has come to Salt Lake. I saw he was on one of his tours that he did with Billy Joel. And did you see that show or happen to see one of those shows?
Oh, it's fantastic, and
it was absolutely fantastic. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and I loved it because they played off each other, both piano men in their own right, of course. At the time, Billy Joel was going through some struggles, and Elton really helped Billy in his personal life, and he credits Elton for that as well, which is ironic because Elton went through his own struggles, and I think that is so fortuitous and serendipitous that Elton now going through his own struggles is helping this other icon in
Yeah.
music history to overcome his own demons and struggles. And I think that was great. But what I loved about that concert is Billy came out and sang Elton songs, and Elton sang Billy songs, and it was fantastic.
It was so great, Chris. I would guess that we were at the same show, and how cool is that? I was so dazzled. I mean, one thing as a side note, this concert was at the Delta Center. I think it was still called the Delta Center at that point. It's gone through a few different names. Thankfully, it's back to the Delta Center, which is just the big sports arena, big basketball arena that we have in Salt Lake City. And for me, I usually hesitate to go in concerts there. Of course, I want to see the people, but the acoustics are always, or the sound mix is always so lousy. I was just so mad, about like I couldn't hear it. Everything was so distorted or so muffled. Whoever the sound production folks there out for that Billy Joel and Elton John concert, I just thought the sound was amazing. And of course, of all concerts, that's when you would really want, of course, to sound good. And I was so dazzled by that. Those two pianos on the stage, and they had solo sets, and then this, as you mentioned, just the way they played. It was one of my all time favorite shows. Yeah.
I agree. The Face to Face tour, I still have my concert T-shirts now.
Nice. Okay. See how cool is that? Of course, I never saw Elvis Presley live. But remember when he died and all that stuff. That was crazy. Have you ever seen Queen in any of its iterations, Chris? I haven't.
I have not. I have a neighbor though that's a gigantic Adam Lambert fan, and she's been to 30 or 40 of their concerts.
Oh, wow. Okay. Adam Lambert's a great vocalist. I mean, nobody can match Freddie Mercury, but I bet I've seen them, again on TV. I think they clearly they sound great, together. And that was a cool choice. Of course, I haven't seen Ray Charles. So this last film that we're going to talk about is What's Love Got to Do with It from 1993. It's the Tina Turner biopic. And I did see Tina Turner. It was her final tour. And I don't know what age she was, Chris, but it was so amazing. She had so much energy. There she was in her mini skirt and those world famous legs, just screeching at the top of her lungs. And I just absolutely loved it. As we were talking about off air, no one sings Proud Mary like Tina Turner.
No one.
But this movie, it's based on Tina's, and Tina was, I think, gets a writing credit as well. I think she was a producer credit. This is something she was very involved with. She's got a really amazing story, as we know. Her book, it's based on her book called I, Tina, her biography. and it just talks about her poor upbringing, how she basically got discovered and married Ike Turner, and then just the horribly abusive relationship she had with Ike. Just what a scumbag he was, and um, the film really portrays this, and then just the climb she had to do, because for she like Ike wouldn't let her, or he kept suing her, or there's all sorts of legal issues. He wouldn't let her use her name,
Wow.
and she had to not only fight for that, but just to fight to get her dignity back. The film, which again I would highly recommend. Angela Bassett plays Tina Turner. Lawrence Fishburne plays Ike Turner, and he's just he is like the most villainous villain. He's like the Darth Vader. He's just such a horrible villain. Uh, but there's this one scene that still I'll never forget, and I guess spoiler, but I think the story's well known that um, Ike was just beating the crap out of Tina, and of course, Ike was heavily into substance abuse and all sorts of other things. Plus, he was just a bad guy. Um, and finally, Tina is just bruised and broken, and she leaves him at this, wherever they were, at some hotel, or maybe it was their home. But anyway, she goes to a hotel, and I think it's in Los Angeles, and she doesn't have any money, and she's looking like crap, and she's all bloody and everything, and she just said to this hotel clerk, I'm Tina Turner. I need a place to stay. I don't have any money, and this hotel clerk believes her, and lets her stay, and helps her kind of start her path. It's really, I don't think I'm doing it justice, but it's a movie thing and a real transition into the solo artist that Tina Turner became, and of course she absolutely eclipsed Ike became nothing after Tina left. Um,
Great justice for sure.
what do you have any favorite Tina Turner songs, or anything, Chris, that you like about Tina Turner?
Well, here's what's funny, and maybe there's a little irony in this. You know, I loved her in the Mad Max movies.
Yeah, that's right. In her chainmail and that
Exactly. I thought that she was fantastic. She was a strong woman that portrayed exactly what she needed to, and uh, really, if you go back to Proud Mary as well, again, a transitionary song. So many country artists and rock and roll artists have sung it, but nobody did it like Tina, as we mentioned earlier.
yeah, she's really something, and I think it's a terrific biopic. I know that there are so many films, and I know that we have missed some, but it's sure been fun to talk with you, Chris, about these ones that we did pick. And again, it just makes me want to rewatch rewatch all of them, or at least listen to some music. I need to bust out some Johnny Cash. Chris, do you have like a favorite Johnny Cash album, or yeah, what's any favorites that you'd like to share?
Oh boy, I have, and you know this, Stan. I have an old jukebox in
It's
my
the absolute coolest. Let me just let me just say.
yeah. I've got probably 10 CDs in that jukebox, and I think I like the anthologies best because then you get early and old stuff. But
Yeah, yeah,
going from Folsom Prison Blues to Live at San Quentin to covering Nine Inch Nails, his career spanned generations, and um, I loved. I love Johnny Cash for a lot of reasons, but that's what I would say is I love about everything from his early stuff to his late stuff. There's one song that continues to come in my mind all the time. It's a little, not very well known song, but it's about a little boy that shines shoes and how you can put a whistle in your step and do some good things. And I love that song along with many others. But he dealt with some really deep, dark things in his life, and he kept going despite
Yeah.
parents and others not approving of what he wanted to do. But he did it, and he had some demons and other things. And what's interesting is nearly, well, in all the films that we've talked about, same thing. These folks are dealing with big demons and big issues in their lives and their careers. It was very public in their approach. And so, there's a lot of inspiration there about overcoming and fighting your demons and working through those. And that's the thing is everyone that you meet has such amazing stories. It's just finding the time to learn about them and being inspired by everyone that you meet. It just so happens that these folks are very public and you know their story, and so they did a nice job telling those stories in movies.
Yeah, well said, Chris. This has been so much fun to talk about these movies and reminisce about these great films, but also just these fascinating artists and this great music, right? This great music. It's all about the music, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. And here's my challenge. If there's anyone from Hollywood listening, and I hope there is, here's my challenge, my list, if you will, Stan, of biopics that we want to see in the future. Now, the one that's already been done is Bob Marley, One Love. That's a great movie.
Yeah, this is a good movie, which we didn't include. Yeah, again, I know there's a bunch we've left out. That I thought that was a solid film. Yeah.
Absolutely, but I'll go through quickly. Hendrix, Prince, Dolly Parton, Billy Joel, Chuck Berry, Rolling Stones, Beatles, Madonna, and Gaga. They have to be made.
I second that. Good list, bud. Well, thanks again, Chris, for joining me. Always a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, and really appreciate it. I hope that everyone has a great time being inspired and finding some time to relax and get away by going to the movies.
Well, that does it for this episode of the Movies Past and Present podcast. Huge thanks to Chris Dallin for joining me on the podcast today. Subscribe to the podcast where you listen to podcasts. And follow me or send me feedback on Instagram. My handle is @StanfordClark. As always, I hope you'll enjoy some good movies this week, whether they be from the past or the present. Thanks again for listening, and until next time, be safe out there and dedicate yourself to the truth.
Bye.